Hey guys, watching Godzilla Mendoza. Um, we're doing this one in latest video, then later we're gonna do the Arkham Knight videos. But we're doing this one first because it came out on my feed. But let's go to it. Okay.
As someone who is famously not a big fan of Batman Arkham Knight, I feel like I was a lot harder to disappoint with the direction of this series than most. I felt like it had already kind of hit rock bottom in terms of narrative, and I was really
We'll go over that. What you're talking
starting
about.
to lose interest in that take on the DC universe anyway. But of all the things they could have done to continue the legacy of one of the biggest superhero video games of all time, a violent comedy-focused spin-off about killing the Justice League, who were introduced entirely off-screen, was not on my bingo card for ways to follow up Arkham Knight.
I mean, technically, Superman wasn't developed off-screen because he gets one mention in Arkham Knight. Technically, if you want to go like that, but I agree. They should have done all the legwork first. They should have developed all the Justice League characters. We should have gotten Arkham Justice League game, and maybe Suicide Squad game first, and then and this bad direction altogether.
This game's entire existence is confusing to me. The premise is weird and depressing, the gameplay is so far removed from the rest of the games in this franchise, and I just don't know if this game does anything to justify its connection to the world of Arkham. It really could have just been a fresh new DC universe like Gotham Knights. And that game would have made for a more sensible follow-up to Arkham Knight since they're eerily close to fitting together. What the hell is going on with the video games at Warner Brothers? Actually, what the hell's going on with everything at Warner Brothers? So while Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League set itself up for failure with the near universally despised games-as-a-service model, it also set itself up for failure by connecting itself to such a beloved and revered trilogy of games in a way that can border on nonsensical at times.
Why?
But the biggest letdown of all is how much less exciting and groundbreaking this game is compared to its predecessors.
I'll have to see, but I might not have as much commentary as I would like on the video because I feel like I'm gonna agree with them. But I want to react to this video to get a comparison between his Arkham Knight videos.
We went from changing the game to just doing what everyone else is doing lately in a giant gamble for massive profits that rarely pays off. So
yeah, I agree. I think there should have been an incredibly different direction. Even if you wanted to go with this game, this was the wrong way to do it.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is just not a game changer.
Hey, Suicide Squad! Fuck you!
I didn't initially plan to review this game, or even play it for that matter, but WB Games gave me a review code and that made the venture more enticing. Thanks for the free game, sorry for all the stuff I'm about to say. Let's call it tough love. Superhero games have fallen into such a weird pattern lately. They put out a teaser with no gameplay to say, hey, look at this IP we spent a lot of money on. Then they wait multiple years with no updates and no marketing, then cram all the marketing into the last 3 or 4 months before release, and then the game is just like a really expensive, massive 6 out of 10 at best. Then we find out the development was a major catastrophe and they had to cut out huge swaths of the game or change almost the entire thing at the last minute to meet a release window. And right now there's so many superhero games that have been announced that we have no info on, so I guess the cycle continues. Suicide Squad seems to be no different. WB Games Montreal teased in Batman Arkham Origins that they were going to do their own Suicide Squad game using some of the Origins cast of villains way back in 2013. But for some reason that plan...
Yeah, that could have been really fun. Sorry, my finger. They really are. This might be broken. Ugh.
fell through in the Task Force X project.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. Bronze Tiger, Deathstroke, you got Shiva, you got a couple other characters. That would have been really good. I wish we would have gotten it. With same combat, the Arkham games, or maybe you can do something different. Definitely not this live service mess.
Project would shift to Rocksteady and be placed on the opposite end of the Batman Arkham timeline. In that period after Night, where it seemed like the story was pretty much over and you couldn't do anything new from there because they screwed it up so badly.
They didn't screw it up! It was a good ending. Okay? We'll get to it in the Arkham video. But it was a great ending to the series. And we don't even know if it's the end of if it's the end of Batman. But it's him. We're getting to it.
Where it was the absolute hardest spot to tell a new story.
No, it
Marvelous.
It wouldn't have. You just stupid, Godzilla Mendoza.
At least this story is all new stuff, because the last time the Arkham series tried to adapt something directly from the comics, it was a giant disaster.
It wasn't trying to adapt it. It was trying to do its own thing with Jason Todd.
You have to keep in mind just how long this game was in development, too. They started this shortly after Arkham Knight was released. I think the backlash and financial failure of Avengers in 2020 caused them to lean off the live service elements a bit. This also had time to pivot after Battlefront 2's loot box system became national news for basically breaking international gambling laws, and you could theoretically spend like $700 in that game and get such bad RNG that you'd never get a character to drop like Darth Vader. So instead of loot boxes that you pay for, these weapons crates just show up at the end of every mission sent by weapons dealer Penguin using bat pods. I never imagined during that cool scene in Arkham City dropping in the costume that someday I'd play a game where they would use that as a vehicle to drop gear. While Gotham Knights clearly backpedaled so hard that it just flat out isn't a live service game anymore, this one was maybe too far gone, or maybe they just expected it to make too much money to give up entirely when they had the opportunity. Whatever the case, it still is what it is. But it's not as bad as it could have been had it been released like 4 or 5 years ago. Each time one of these comes out and face plants into the dirt instead of hitting the ground running, I think we get closer and closer.
I think from a story narrative, it would have been the same. And the fact that Sweet Baby Inc. was involved, there was clearly an agenda in the game. I wonder if we can talk about it.
The game industry realizing that you can't force one of these live service games to be successful. It has to happen naturally. Nor do we as consumers want every single goddamn game to be like a daily...
I think I will watch half of this video, like I usually do, and then watch the other half later. That way I don't feel like I'm stealing it, because I tend to agree with him. I'll talk a lot more in the Arkham video, that's for sure.
Daily chore that you have to keep logging back into to spend money on and get updates. Sometimes you want to just start a game on a Friday night and then beat it by Sunday so you can move on with your life. This is why
I haven't watched the Arkham videos in a while, but I know I disagree with a lot, especially after watching Colin's video. Colin, a great YouTuber, go watch him. But
lament the loss of that Spider-Man Online game at all. You just know it would have been more of this. Continuing to double down on this format is like major game developers playing the lottery. You know what? No, that would imply that the loss is just a few dollars. This is like playing the stock market and putting all of your life savings down on Pauly Shore's new...
Yeah, I don't know why you would go for this system. Why would you... Point the story aside, you think maybe they were too far into development with the system that they couldn't change it? And they already spent too much money on it because they were in production for like 10 years. Or maybe they just didn't care. Like he said, it would make up its money.
New movie company. Hey, maybe he'll get big again. You don't know. Well, looks like it didn't work out. Again. I'm sure they'll learn their lesson after another 5 or 6 of these $500 million games eating massive shit and dropping their active players to 3 digits. This is an important life lesson. The people with money aren't actually good at business. They're just stupid and lucky. Don't let them fool you, kids. Cosmetic.
Well, some of them are. I think a lot of people are good with money. Or it just depends. I think throwing out a big all-encompassing term, it's a bit disingenuous. You should be more specific. Be more specific.
Cosmetics are predictably super expensive, but with the additional kick in the pants that you have to pay different amounts for the entire thing, so you can spend a little bit of money and get the basic version of the suit, or a little extra to get the alternate stuff like an unmasked version, or even more money for the recolors. What is this, a Patreon tier? Like, I have to pay extra to get a jetpack to match the rest of my Deadshot outfit? That sucks.
That doesn't. Yeah, that's kind of shitty. You think you would get all of it to connect. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I was answering his text.
Sucks. The pre-order version only gives you the basic package for these classic costumes, so you still need to pay extra for the rest of it. That's a little scummy too. People are already paying over $100.
It really is. Again, did they just expect that people would just pay for this stuff? For one, you don't know most of the characters, and some of the characters are just oddly race swapped for some reason.
$100 for the deluxe edition. You could throw them a bone instead of giving them only a third of the stuff advertised. To get all the classic Harley Quinn costume stuff, it's like $40 total. I really need game developers to take this to heart. It's time we had a serious conversation about this. No one fucking likes palette swaps as cosmetics. All these superhero live service games need to give up on damn recolors like Golden Harley Quinn or Orange and Pink Captain America. Every major comic book character has like 50 different...
That is true. There are a lot... You have a lot more character designs. Character... costumes, whatever. There are a lot more costume designs. You shouldn't have to just do palette swaps.
Different costumes to choose from.
Or if you really want to, you can add that, but definitely do the different costumes first.
But they keep picking the really obvious ones, and they're just futzing around with the colors like anyone gives a damn. I mean, I get it. It's the easiest thing to do is just change the color on a texture instead of make a whole new model from scratch. But come on! Insomniac Spider-Man and Guardians could grasp this. Spider-Man has like over 100 costumes across all 3 games without the recolors. They've earned having the dumb orange and green costumes by already including so many options to begin with from the comics and movies. And, you know, free.
Yeah, free will always be better. I think the pellet swaps, no matter what, should be free. No matter what. If you want to put them in there, make them free.
Free! Don't forget to use my Fortnite creator code. Remember when Arkham Origins and Knight had skin packs with like 6 or 7 skins each that were $2? Plus, Knight already had over a dozen skins to begin with. Good times. I like these classic costumes a lot, but damn does it suck having to pay that much for all of them. So I just got the basic pack for each. And, King Shark's isn't that good, so I didn't even bother with that one.
I don't like King Shark's like costume. It looks like he's wearing a diaper for some reason. Why is he wearing a diaper?
Default skin's fine. I think this story goes down a little easier when the team's wearing their classic costumes. Their original outfits look so colorful and comic booky and silly that it affords them a sort of jester's privilege. So it's less like all of your childhood heroes are being murdered by gun-toting, trench-coat-wearing Garth Ennis dirtbags who designed Doom levels. And now it's like, that dastardly Captain Boomerang has finally gotten one over on the Flash. Green Lantern has been bested by Deadshot, the world's deadliest assassin. Now they feel more like Golden Age comic book silly dudes. Otherwise, this game's edgy, in-your-face, go-for-yourself attitude can come across distasteful considering the subject matter.
It's already distasteful no matter what. You didn't have to do this. You know?
Seeing this horrific massacre of the civilians in Metropolis, the world's greatest heroes have been turned into bloodthirsty minions hellbent.
I mean, the massacre of Metropolis people, I mean, you could do that. That's not a bad thing. You see all the carnage that Brainiac is causing. Sorry, I forgot his name for a second. That Brainiac is causing. And you feel more for the characters. I think that's a good thing. It's just that every character is brainwashed, and you don't know half of them. And the ones that you do know, they're completely awful, and they're done dirty.
Bent on stone cold murder for an intergalactic dictator with nearly unlimited resources. I can understand wanting to revel in the chaos of it all, but a little more sincerity would be nice too. Like, you're tasked with killing Batman and Superman. Superman! The first superhero ever? At least in Injustice, there was the gravity and drama of like, oh my god, Captain Marvel. No, Billy Batson is dead. What have we done? What have we become? But in Suicide Squad, you beat up Batman to the very edge of death, and then they're like tossing his lifeless, unconscious body around and doing the Three Stooges.
Tossing his lifeless, unconscious body around. That doesn't make any sense. That's not criticism. It just... And what the fuck? Apparently King Shark just wants to eat that ass. But is that just a nitpick, maybe clear up his scripts.
I guess I have to just remind myself, 10 fingers to reduce the Garth Ennis meter. The story begins with some good old member berries at Arkham Asylum, a place I thought was shut down forever, but I guess not. Their escape from New York homage didn't pan out how they hoped, so they just moved back into the old facility. I mean, I guess the building's still there. Look, remember, that's the spot where I have the boss fight with Poison Ivy. The main four playable characters are Harley Quinn, King Shark, Captain Boomerang, and a completely different Deadshot than we've seen before, but somehow he's actually the real Deadshot, and the other guy was from an alternate universe, and he traveled to this universe, and Batman's just been fighting him for basically his entire career since he was a rookie superhero and never noticed that it's not the same guy, even though he has the same name and skill set, and surely he'd have to cross-reference a picture of him on his file and be like, hey, wait a minute, what the fuck? Man, Assault on Arkham got retconned into oblivion. That movie does not count for shit now. Easy come, easy go. And then the ex-Jedi lady who runs the resistance against the Nazis shows up to recruit their dysfunctional asses to be the last line of defense against superheroes.
Why would you hire normal humans anyway to take on superhumans, for one? You know? And why wouldn't they have kryptonite? Whatever. Why weren't they given the tools they needed at the start?
Turned bad. Alien cyborg conqueror Brainiac has made landfall in Metropolis and begun mutating citizens into monsters and replacing the Justice League with evil counterparts that I'm pretty sure you're supposed to think are the main Justice League but mind-controlled. 10 fingers! I've always thought the concept of Task Force X as a countermeasure against a compromised Justice League was really stupid because a pale person with a baseball bat and a gun or a guy with scaly skin and above-average strength aren't going to do much against an evil Justice League without a ton of help.
Just a guy with a boomerang. I didn't ask for all this flying and magic.
So it leaves us with two options. Either your Suicide Squad needs a roster of people like Metallo, Lady Shiva, Captain Cold, Bane, Bizarro, real heavy hitters that actually stand a chance, or you need to give these schmucks all the plot armor and unfair advantages you can muster. I
Yeah,
think the squad are
I
better.
have a problem with that whole part in Batman's lair, like like it they that's straight like nuclear explosion strength plot armor right there, because they somehow overpower the scarecrow toxin that like nobody else could overpower. Well, only a few people, and they somehow do it and create a cure. It's fucking insane. They should all be dead.
Utilized when they're doing like heist missions or
Just
something.
by Batman. Then Green Lantern should have killed them, or Superman. One of them. They should be dead 100 times over.
To benefit the U.S. government in a world full of superheroes, like the other good Suicide Squad stuff. So throughout the game, the squad runs around meeting various DC characters that actually have useful skills like computers, mutant super botany, engineering, and boomerangs, and use their resources to upgrade their abilities so they have a better chance to, kill the Justice League. What most of this equates to is just upgrading your guns, because the majority of the gameplay is just shooting. You can shoot your gun in such a way that you'll slow down the Flash, or you can shoot apart Green Lantern's constructs, or shoot kryptonite bullets, sensing a pattern, and it just highlights how limited the gameplay loop of this game actually is. One of the highlights of the game has to be the fan service-laden Batman museum that recaps the first 3 games, and suspiciously not Arkham Origins, where the evil Brainiac-controlled Batman shows up. You get to play as the henchman wandering around with a gun in the dark as Batman picks you off one by one. And we get to see a couple of the old stealth takedowns and mechanics from the opposite end. This is both really fun and also unfortunately reminds me of how those games had such groundbreaking stealth mechanics, and this game has no stealth to speak of. This game's solution to every problem and every encounter is to pump it full of lead like a movie Kevin McAllister shouldn't be watching by himself. Remember how Arkham Batman went from melee combat like a rhythm game to a detective segment solving puzzles, platforming exploration, to really in-depth stealth sequences? There was so much variety, and all of that fit the character perfectly. Like, every aspect of Batman was represented in gameplay. Games get bigger and bigger in scope and scale and graphical quality, but the variety in the gameplay itself seems to get shorter and shorter.
That wasn't the problem. The problem is they didn't know what the fucking game was gonna be for like 10 years. They just slapped something together at the end.
The size of a small...
It changed, like, the direction completely changed, like, halfway through the, 5 years into development.
Country and nothing really to do in it but jump around and shoot the same 4 enemy types. That being said, the Metropolis map is gorgeous, and I do like the sheer verticality of it, and the way they captured that retro-futurist aesthetic. This is the best looking Metropolis we've had in anything since Superman the Animated Series. Compare this again to Avengers levels, which consisted of empty forests and deserts or nondescript single city blocks with height limits if you were flying around as Iron Man or Thor. The traversal in Suicide Squad is nothing to write home about, but it works. Every character has their own specific method of getting around. Harley uses like a more limited version of the grapple hook from the Arkham games and can swing on this hovering bat drone that's always nearby. Captain Boomerang has a gauntlet that gives him minor speed force abilities like the Flash, so he can zip around pretty fast, and it's kind of cool. I think my favorite though is Deadshot's jetpack because it lets you get the most height and you can travel the fastest. King Sharks is just jumping and doing this air dash, and frankly, he's my least favorite character to play as. Not into playing as a heavy tank-like character most of the time. I get the point of it, but he's not personally appealing to me because I just feel like I can't get around fast enough.
I particularly don't like any of the characters. I would say my favorite is King Shark. That's really it. I like King Shark because I think he's a cool shark. But that's really it.
Enough. I like to be agile and flying around and kicking ass. And while the enemy variety is low, Suicide Squad does a better job of giving some variety to the tasks you have to accomplish to progress. You've got missions where you protect Baby Groot Poison Ivy's giant plants as they reclaim the city from Brainiac, missions to destroy massive alien artillery, finding and grabbing civilians to send them to safety from the alien hordes, and getting into vehicles to do some real damage. I gotta say, I like these activities a lot more than standing in a circle and watching a progress bar fill up. Now I can run around and do stuff while a progress bar fills up. That's progress. See, it says so right there. That's how you know the progress happened. There's, of course, the Arkham Universe Riddler here, too. I despise him greatly.
You know what I mean? Oh, God damn it!
I've sent the rest of the video later. I agree with Gladys. I don't want to be stealing anyone's content, so I will be ending it here. Okay, thank you. Bye.